The Silent Dawn, the Discover commander Elena Vasquez guided the cargo vessel Stellar Dawn through the final hyperspace jump toward Meridian Colony. The blue-white star ahead cast familiar light across the ship's viewports, and Elena expected to see the usual signs of bustling human activity. Meridian was humanity's pride, a thriving settlement of 75,000 people who had spent 15 years carving civilization from an alien world. The communications officer, Lieutenant Marcus Webb, tried the standard approach protocol. Meridian Control, this is Stellar Dawn requesting docking clearance for monthly supply delivery. He waited, then repeated the message twice more. Only silence answered from the planet below. Dr. James Chun looked up from his archaeological research station, concern creasing his weathered face. The elderly scientist had been studying the planet's ancient ruins for years, documenting evidence of a long-dead civilization that once called Meridian home. Elena, I'm not detecting any of the usual energy signatures from the surface. The mining operations, the fusion reactors, the communication arrays, everything appears to be offline. Elena activated the ship's scanning systems, her hands steady despite the growing dread in her chest. What the sensors revealed defied all logic and reason. Where Meridian Colony should have been, where 75,000 people had built homes and lives. Among the stars, there was nothing but smooth, black glass stretching across the landscape like a frozen ocean. Run a full surface scan, Elena ordered, though ice was forming in her stomach. There has to be some explanation. The scanning beam swept across the planet's surface, building a detailed picture of impossible destruction. The entire colony site had been transformed into a perfectly uniform obsidian plain. The familiar landmarks were gone. The mountain range where the primary settlement had been built no longer existed. Even the river that had supplied fresh water to the colonists had vanished, its bed filled with the same strange glass material. Lieutenant Webb worked frantically at his station. Commander, I've checked every emergency frequency. No distress signals, no automated beacons, no trace of the orbital monitoring stations. Everything that should be there is simply gone. Dr. Chun's voice was barely a whisper as he studied the readings. Elena, this isn't natural. Geological processes don't create such perfect uniformity over hundreds of kilometers. And look at these energy residue patterns. Whatever caused this happened simultaneously across the entire region. Elena felt the weight of 75,000 lost lives settling on her shoulders. Among those colonists were families she knew, children who had been born on Meridian, elderly people who had chosen to spend their final years building something new among the stars. All of them were gone, erased as if they had never existed. The alert Lena activated the emergency communication array, establishing a priority channel to Earth Defense Force headquarters. The signal would take hours to reach Earth, but this information could not wait. Earth Defense Command, this is Commander Elena Vasquez aboard cargo vessel Stellar Dawn. Priority, Alpha Emergency Transmission. Meridian Colony has been completely destroyed by unknown forces. All 75,000 colonists presumed dead. No survivors detected. Repeat, Meridian Colony no longer exists. Requesting immediate investigation and military response. Captain Maria Santos received the transmission at Earth Defense Headquarters during her night shift. The veteran communications officer had served through the pirate wars and 3 major colonial emergencies. But nothing had prepared her for this message. She immediately activated emergency protocols, waking Admiral Robert Kane and the entire senior command staff. Within an hour, every major leader on Earth knew that humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and that first contact had been an act of genocide that left 75,000 innocent people dead. The investigation Admiral Kane assembled the largest investigation fleet in human history. The heavy cruiser Enterprise, led a formation of 12 ships toward Meridian, carrying scientists, military analysts, and the most advanced scanning equipment Earth could provide. Kane was a man who had dedicated his life to protecting human colonies, and the loss of Meridian felt like a personal failure. Dr. Chun transferred to the Enterprise to lead the scientific investigation. His expertise in studying dead civilizations had suddenly become crucial for understanding what had happened to a living one. As the investigation fleet approached Meridian, he worked with the ship's science teams to analyze every piece of data from the mysterious destruction. "Admiral, we've discovered something disturbing," Dr. Chun reported as he presented his findings to the senior staff. "The energy patterns we've detected don't match any known natural phenomenon. The destruction was caused by weapons that operate by disrupting matter at the molecular level. Everything was simply broken apart and scattered, which explains why. We found no debris." The Admiral studied the holographic displays, showing the glass fields where Meridian had once thrived. "Doctor, what kind of civilization could develop such weapons?" Chun's expression was grave. "Based on the scale of the destruction and the precision involved, we're dealing with a spacefaring species that has perfected the technology of planetary sterilization. This wasn't random violence or resource gathering. It was systematic extermination designed to leave no trace of human presence." Captain Santos had been monitoring deep space communication channels since the first reports arrived. "Admiral, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures throughout this sector. The patterns suggest artificial origin, but the technology is completely unknown. Whatever did this to Meridian isn't finished. They appear to be moving through nearby star systems in a systematic pattern." First Contact Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Mitchell commanded the stealth reconnaissance ship Shadow Walker, equipped with the most advanced sensors and cloaking technology in the human fleet. Her mission was to track the mysterious energy signatures and identify the threat before it could strike another human colony. The trail led through 3-star systems showing signs of ancient destruction. Dead worlds that might once have supported life orbited cold stars, their surfaces bearing the same glass formations found on Meridian. Whatever species was responsible for this destruction had been conducting planetary genocide for thousands of years. "Colonel, I'm detecting massive energy readings ahead," reported her science officer, Dr. Lisa Park. "The power signatures are unlike anything in our databases, and they're concentrated in a tight formation." Mitchell brought the Shadow Walker to a complete stop, all systems running silent as they drifted toward the source of the signals. Through the main view screen, they could see artificial lights in the darkness ahead. A fleet of alien vessels, arranged in perfect geometric patterns, each ship larger than anything humanity had ever constructed. The alien ships were beautiful in a terrifying way. Their hulls were composed of some dark material that seemed to absorb light while reflecting it in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Energy readings from the fleet showed power generation capabilities that exceeded Earth's entire electrical grid. "My God," Mitchell whispered, recording everything her sensors could detect. "There must be over 200 ships in this formation." Dr. Park worked frantically at her station. "Colonel, I'm analyzing their energy patterns. These readings suggest they're not just weapons platforms. Each ship appears to contain the technology necessary to sterilize entire planets. This isn't a military fleet. It's an extermination armada." As they watched, the alien fleet began to move with coordinated precision that spoke of advanced artificial intelligence or mental coordination beyond human understanding. The ships arranged themselves into a new formation and began accelerating toward human space. Mitchell opened an emergency channel to Earth Defense Command. "This is Shadow Walker to Fleet Command. We have visual confirmation of the hostile force responsible for Meridian's destruction. Enemy fleet consists of over 200 vessels of unknown configuration. They possess technology far beyond current human capabilities and appear to be moving toward inhabited human systems. Recommend immediate evacuation of outer colonies and full military mobilization. The response Admiral Kane stood before the emergency session of the United Earth Defense Council, representatives from every nation and colony gathering to hear humanity's first intelligence report about their new enemies. The holographic display showed the alien fleet recorded by Mitchell's reconnaissance mission. Ladies and gentlemen, we now call them the Void Hunters, based on their apparent mission to erase all traces of intelligent life from the galaxy, Kane began. Our analysis indicates they have been conducting this form of warfare for millennia. We are not their first victims, and unless we stop them, we will not be their last. President Amanda Foster took the podium to address the world. Citizens of Earth and all human colonies, we face the greatest challenge in our species' history. The Void Hunters have demonstrated technology that exceeds our current defensive capabilities. However, humanity has always overcome impossible odds through ingenuity, determination, and unity. Dr. Chun presented his analysis to the assembled leaders. The Void Hunters' weapons create specific quantum signatures when they operate. These signatures appear to be necessary for their weapons to function, but they also represent a potential vulnerability. If we can develop technology to interfere with these quantum states, we might be able to turn their own power against them. Foster nodded approvingly. Doctor, you'll have unlimited resources and authority to pursue this research. Project Prometheus will be our species' highest priority. Preparation engineer Sarah Mitchell led the crash development program to create weapons capable of fighting the Void Hunters. Working with Dr. Chun's quantum research and data from the Meridian investigation, her team began developing what they called resonance disruptors, weapons designed to destabilize the alien technology. The work progressed around the clock in laboratories and shipyards across human space. Every available scientist and engineer contributed to the project. Factory complexes were converted to military production, turning out components for the new weapon systems and upgrading humanity's defensive fleet. Captain David Torres supervised construction of humanity's newest battleship, the Human Spirit. At 1.8 kilometers long, it represented the pinnacle of human engineering, designed to carry the new resonance disruptor technology into battle against the alien fleet. Meanwhile, Pilot Commander Alex Rivera trained elite fighter squadrons to use miniaturized versions of the new weapons. The technology that had seemed impossible just months earlier was now being mounted on single-seat fighters, giving individual pilots the theoretical ability to threaten ships thousands of times larger than their own. All pilots, remember that we don't need to match their firepower, Rivera explained to his squadron leaders. We need to make their own weapons work against them. Every shot they fire becomes energy we can redirect and amplify. As the months passed, humanity transformed itself into something it had never been before, a species united by the knowledge that their survival depended on working together. Old rivalries between nations were set aside as everyone focused on the common threat. Children learned quantum physics alongside basic mathematics, understanding that science would be their salvation. The transformation wasn't just technological. Humanity itself was evolving, shaped by the knowledge that they faced an enemy that had perfected the art of extinction. Yet rather than despair, humans showed the characteristic that would define their species throughout the galaxy. They refused to surrender. Asterisk. The Forge of Defiance, the Second Strike. 3 months after Meridian's destruction, the Void Hunters struck. Again, Outpost Gamma 7, a mining station with 3,000 residents, vanished in the same mysterious way. Commander Torres received the distress signal during the final testing phases of the Human Spirit's new weapon systems. Admiral Kane, this is Torres. We've lost contact with Gamma 7. Long-range sensors show the same energy signatures we detected at Meridian. Torres studied the tactical display, showing the alien fleet's movement patterns. They're following a systematic approach, eliminating our outer settlements before moving toward more populated systems. Dr. Lisa Park had transferred from reconnaissance duty to head the quantum weapons research team. Her analysis of the second attack provided crucial information about Void Hunter tactics. Admiral, I've identified their operational pattern. They don't just destroy colonies, they study them first. The energy readings suggest they observe each settlement for several days before attacking, possibly learning about human technology and defensive capabilities. Engineer Sarah Mitchell presented her team's breakthrough to the assembled military leadership. We've successfully weaponized Dr. Chun's quantum disruption theory. The resonance disruptors create interference patterns that destabilize Void Hunter energy systems. In laboratory tests, we've been able to cause their own weapons to malfunction and turn their destructive power back on itself. Admiral Kane examined the technical specifications for the new weapons. Sarah, how many ships can we equip with these systems before they reach our core colonies? We have operational systems ready for 12 heavy cruisers, the Human Spirit, and prototype units for 200 fighter craft. It's not enough to match their fleet strength, but it might be enough to show them that humanity won't die quietly. Project Prometheus, the crash development program, had transformed human industry completely. Dr. Chun worked with teams of physicists and engineers to refine the resonance disruptor technology, making it more effective against Void Hunter quantum signatures. The key insight is that the Void Hunter's greatest strength is also their greatest weakness, Chun explained to the research teams. Their weapons are so powerful that they create massive quantum instabilities. If we can amplify these instabilities instead of trying to directly oppose their power, we turn their technological advantage against them. Captain Maria Santos coordinated communications between research facilities across human space. Dr. Chun, we're receiving reports from 12 different laboratories. The resonance disruptors are testing successfully, but we need more power to make them effective against the larger Void Hunter vessels. Engineer Mitchell had anticipated this problem. We're installing multiple fusion reactors on each ship specifically to power the new weapons. The Human Spirit will carry enough power generation to operate as a mobile quantum disruption platform. Smaller ships will work in coordinated groups to achieve similar effects. Pilot Commander Rivera trained his squadrons in tactics that would have been impossible just months earlier. Listen carefully. These new weapons don't work like anything we've used before. Instead of trying to destroy enemy ships directly, we're going to make their own weapons destroy them. Every time they fire at us, we redirect that energy back at twice the power. The training was intensive and dangerous. Several prototype fighters were lost during weapons testing when the quantum fields proved unstable. But human pilots adapted quickly, developing new combat techniques that took advantage of the resonance disruptors' unique capabilities. The trap intelligence reports indicated the Void Hunter main fleet was approaching the Centauri system, where 200,000 humans lived on 3 different worlds. Admiral Kane made the decision that would define humanity's future. We make our stand at Centauri, Kane announced to his fleet commanders. Every ship we have, every weapon we can deploy. If we can't stop them there, Earth becomes their next target. The human fleet gathered at Centauri represented the largest military force in the species' history. The Human Spirit led a formation of 50 warships, supported by 200 fighter craft and multiple defense platforms equipped with the new quantum weapons. Captain Torres studied the approaching Void Hunter fleet through the Human Spirit sensors. The alien ships moved in their characteristic geometric formations, over 200 vessels arranged with mathematical precision. Each ship was larger than Earth's greatest battleships, their dark hulls seeming to bend space around them. All ships maintain formation until the enemy enters weapons range. Torres ordered. Remember, we're not trying to outfight them. We're trying to make them defeat themselves. Dr. Park monitored the quantum signature readings from her position. On the human spirit's bridge. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout the alien fleet. Their weapons are charging for simultaneous planetary bombardment. They intend to sterilize all 3 worlds at once. The battle the Void Hunters opened fire first, their molecular disintegration beams lancing across space toward the human fleet and the populated worlds below. The weapons that had erased Meridian and countless other colonies struck human ships and defense platforms with overwhelming power. But this time, humanity was ready. The resonance disruptors activated throughout the human fleet, creating quantum interference fields that intercepted the Void Hunter beams. Instead of simply absorbing the alien weapon's power, the human technology redirected and amplified it. Energy that would have destroyed human ships was turned back on the alien fleet with twice the original intensity. The lead Void Hunter vessel exploded in a cascade of uncontrolled quantum energy. The explosion rippled through nearby alien ships, causing secondary detonations that lit up space like artificial stars. For the first time in their long history of genocide, the Void Hunters faced an enemy that could turn their own weapons against them. Direct hits on the enemy flagship and escort vessels, Torres reported to the human fleet. Quantum disruption systems are working as designed. All ships commence attack pattern Delta. Commander Rivera led his fighter squadrons into the heart of the alien formation. The miniaturized resonance disruptors mounted on the fighters proved devastatingly effective. Each time a Void Hunter ship fired at the small human craft, the quantum interference fields redirected that energy back at it. The alien vessels with amplified power. Phoenix Squadron, target the alien weapon clusters, Rivera ordered as his pilots dove toward ships thousands of times larger than their fighters. Remember, we don't need to match their firepower. We just need to make them hurt themselves. Pilot Jennifer Clark rolled her fighter between 2 Void Hunter beams, her quantum disruption missiles locking onto the energy signatures of the enemy weapons. I have target lock on a heavy cruiser, firing quantum torpedoes. The missiles struck the alien ship and immediately began interfering with its weapon systems. Energy that had been carefully controlled began cascading out of control, turning the ship's own firepower into a weapon against itself. The cruiser's hull buckled and cracked as its own disintegration beams tore it apart from the inside. Ingenuity as the battle progressed. Human forces demonstrated the adaptability and creative thinking that would become their trademark throughout the galaxy. Captain Santos coordinated multiple ships to create overlapping quantum fields that could redirect the energy from entire alien squadrons. All vessels, implement formation Gamma 7, Santos ordered. We're going to create a quantum resonance cascade that turns their fleet coordination against them. Engineer Mitchell monitored the battle from her position aboard the human spirit, constantly adjusting the resonance disruptors to counter Void Hunter adaptations. Captain Torres, I'm detecting changes in their energy patterns. They're trying to modify their weapons to resist our interference. How long before they adapt completely? Torres asked. Maybe an hour. But I have an idea. If we can coordinate all our quantum disruptors to fire simultaneously, we might be able to create a system-wide resonance field that makes their entire fleet unstable. Dr. Chun worked frantically at his console, calculating the quantum mechanics required for Mitchell's plan. It's theoretically possible, but the energy requirements would be enormous. Every ship would have to channel power through the human spirit's main quantum array. Torres made the decision without hesitation. All ships transfer power to the human spirit. We're going to show these aliens what human ingenuity looks like. A turning point, the coordinated quantum field that the human fleet created exceeded all theoretical predictions. When the Void Hunter ships fired their next volley, every beam was intercepted, amplified, and redirected back at the alien fleet with overwhelming power. The result was a cascade of destruction. It tore through the alien formation like a chain reaction. Void Hunter ships that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia found themselves destroyed by their own weapons, turned against them by human technology that used their greatest strength as their ultimate weakness. The perfect formations that had served them so well became disadvantageous as the quantum cascade spread from ship to ship. "Enemy fleet is in full retreat," reported Dr. Park from her sensor station. "Remaining vessels are breaking formation and withdrawing from the system. Captain, we've won." The human fleet watched as the surviving Void Hunter ships fled into hyperspace, their perfect formations shattered, and their reputation for invincibility destroyed. Humanity had faced extinction and responded with the qualities that defined their species: ingenuity, determination, and the refusal to surrender. New dawn. In the aftermath of the battle, Admiral Kane addressed the fleet and the watching human worlds. "Today we proved that no enemy is invincible when faced with human creativity and determination. The Void Hunters came to our space expecting to find another helpless civilization to erase. Instead, they found a species that turns challenges into opportunities and weaknesses into strengths." Commander Rivera landed his fighter on the human spirit's flight deck, his squadron having performed beyond all expectations. "Admiral, request permission to pursue the fleeing enemy vessels. We need to make sure they understand that human space is now protected." Kane smiled approvingly. "Permission granted, Commander. But remember, we're not conquerors. We're defenders. Show them that humanity will fight to protect not just ourselves, but any species threatened by their genocide." Dr. Chun began analyzing the battle data, already working on improvements to the quantum disruption technology. "Admiral, this engagement has taught us valuable lessons about Void Hunter technology. With further development, we might be able to create defensive systems that protect entire star systems." President Foster addressed humanity from Earth, her words carried to every human settlement among the stars. "The Void Hunters underestimated us because they measured us by our technology instead of our character. They possess weapons that can destroy planets, but they lack something more powerful: the human spirit that refuses to be conquered." Legacy: The Battle of Centauri became the defining moment in human history, the day when humanity announced to the galaxy that they would not go quietly into extinction. The quantum disruption technology developed during the crisis was refined and improved, eventually leading to defensive systems that could protect entire civilizations from similar threats. More importantly, humanity had learned that their greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons. It was their ability to adapt, innovate, and find creative solutions to impossible problems. The species that had once been confined to a single world now stood as defenders of the galaxy, protecting other civilizations from threats like the Void Hunters. Engineer Sarah Mitchell continued developing new applications for quantum disruption technology, eventually creating systems that could heal damaged planets and restore worlds that had been sterilized by the Void Hunters. Her work would eventually restore Meridian, bringing life back to a world that had been erased. Commander Elena Vasquez, who had made the first discovery of Void Hunter activity, became the leader of humanity's exploration fleet, searching for other civilizations that might need protection from similar threats. Her ship, the Stellar Dawn, became a symbol of hope throughout the galaxy. The Void Hunters themselves disappeared into the dark spaces between stars, their perfect formations broken and their confidence shattered. Some rumors suggested they had retreated to distant galaxies, while others believed they had learned to coexist with the civilizations they once destroyed. But everyone agreed on one thing: they would never again underestimate the ingenuity and determination of humanity. Dr. James Chun established the Galactic Archaeological Institute, dedicated to studying and preserving the civilizations that had been destroyed by the Void Hunters over the millennia. His work helped restore knowledge of dozens of extinct species, ensuring that their memory would not be lost. As humanity expanded throughout the galaxy, they carried with them the lesson learned at Centauri, that the universe might be vast and dangerous, but it was not hopeless. Whenever other species faced extinction from overwhelming odds, they could count on humanity to stand beside them, armed with creativity, determination, and the absolute refusal to surrender. The stars themselves seemed brighter now, no longer cold points of light in an indifferent universe, but beacons of hope in a galaxy where humanity had proven that ingenuity could triumph over any threat. Asterisk.